Good morning, good morning. Welcome everyone to today's show. Today we have a great show on hand. We will be discussing the Juneteenth celebration at the White House. Um, so let's get into it. Today is June 14th, year of 2023. Okay, guys. Okay. So yesterday apparently it was reported that there was a Juneteenth celebration at the White House. Now, interesting, guys. Um, I did not hear anything about this celebration um, at the White House. And I'm a Black American. I am a descendant of American slaves. So it tickled me that um, they held an event at the White House um, and forgot to invite the Black people. Um, I'm wondering who was invited, who set this up, who organized this, and why weren't Black Americans invited? So, starting out the gate, it was a hot mess. Um, no one in the community was aware there was any celebration, and they damn sure was not invited. Okay, so we go to I'm tuning into the event. I you know uh, tuned in the coverage that was available, um, and I seen a lot of problems at this Juneteenth celebration. One of the things that I noticed. Okay, before we go there, let's start about this. Let's talk about Juneteenth. How Juneteenth became so popular in the community. It was about a few years back. I myself and others were traveling. Even though I didn't create Juneteenth, I'm just giving you guys a little brief history. I'm not the only one that was traveling around the world. It came to the knowledge to a lot of Black Americans who, shared their thoughts online via Facebook and other social media that when we travel the world, everyone else celebrate emancipation. There is a national holiday, a carnival, and many of the places around the world in like South America and the Caribbean islands, they celebrate. It's a huge holiday, carnival, and usually carnival is associated with freedom from slavery. And so, as a Black American descendant of slaves, when we finally had the funds to go travel in recent times, we realized, wait a minute, everyone celebrates emancipation except for America. And it hurt. It stung like a dagger to the heart, um, to realize, America pumping you with all this, pro-American this and pro-American that. Black Americans fought in every war, and our country was um, very extremely deficient in the standard of showing respect, love, and care to their Black citizens. Um, and it was a shock. It was a shock. So this, people send out their tweets and they send out their posts, and it became a firestorm so much that the country had to respond. America had to establish a Juneteenth, because it was shameful. Okay, it was shameful that America, the big bad shining star on the hill, was not celebrating, did not make a national holiday, did not establish a holiday for the emancipation of their slaves. So I think, it's my belief that Juneteenth, it was came out of the embarrassment, the international embarrassment that America had faced when it came to the realization to their citizens, to the Black Americans, that and to the globe, that America doesn't even have a holiday for the emancipation of slavery. So, so here we are today, the year of 2023. And even though slavery ended, let me guess, at least 160 years ago or so, um, it's early in the morning. I haven't had my coffee. Okay. And I'm counting the best way I can. Um, at least 160 years ago, slavery was, ended. And we're just getting a national holiday concerning emancipation, proclamation, and the freedom of the slaves. Um, so there's that issue of 2023. This is also leading to, of course, another reason why we need our reparations. Because if it took America this long to establish a holiday for the emancipation of slaves, the end of slavery, then it's going to take probably even longer for our reparations. This country is pretty despicable when it comes to redressing the Black Americans. Okay, so some of the things that I noticed at this Juneteenth celebration at the White House, I noticed the use of gospel at this event. Now, the use of gospel, I thought that was sort of. I like gospel. Gospel's nice, but the lack of actual, speeches, motivation, actual storytelling, remembrance of what happened to Black Americans, what is our struggles, what we had no Black leaders at this event. There was a lot of artists, celebrities. There was a lot of jiving young adults with the marching bands. There was a lot of clapping and the stomping, and we should be grateful, but we actually didn't have any substance, because Black Americans, we are facing a lot of challenges today. There are things that we want to accomplish, okay? And so it begs the question, um, do we need a concert, Black Americans, or do we need reparations? And the latter, reparations, is what's needed in this discussion. So that's the title of our show today. Do Black Americans need a concert, or do we need reparations? Because that's the reason why I wanted to discuss this. This whole Juneteenth celebration, it may have had good intentions, but it was definitely a very it fell onto me as very offensive, especially knowing that America has not fulfilled its promise of full equal citizenship to the Black American descendants of slaves. Okay, the days of the symbolism, um, of using gospel, in which we're going to get into that. The days of the shaking and the moving and everybody shining, and everybody's, got swag on the stage. Those days of symbolism is over. The Black Americans today, at least in my generation, child of the 80s and the 90s, okay, we're not accepting that bullshit anymore. We don't want a damn concert. Okay, we want to talk about reparations, and we're tired of being ignored by the Democrat Party and this administration. And that is why so many Black Americans, descendants of slaves, is not going to vote Democrat in 2024. Because the days of symbolism, You jived our grandparents. Those of you, those of you liberals that's out there. You jive our grandparents. Our grandparents were extremely oppressed, uneducated people, illiterate. Many was illiterate. But you're dealing with a totally different generation. A generation that is not only literate, highly educated. This is the most highly educated generation of Black American descendants of slaves you have ever came across. And you are dealing with a beast, and you just don't even know it. We're not playing with you. You can't go, y'all, yeah, clapping in the hands. Let's do the dance. That's not going to cut it. Cut the check. I don't need your sorry. I don't need your goddamn feelings. I need my check. This country is rich beyond its wildest dreams off the labor of my ancestors, my grandparents. I was denied my rightful inheritance. You, America, is stealing our inheritance. You constantly stomp on our civil rights. You constantly degrade our citizenship. Our citizenship is supposed to matter. Citizenship is supposed to matter. Ain't no regardless of citizenship. Oh, once we became free and we obtained citizenship through the 13th Amendment, oh, now it's regardless of citizenship? Because God forbid you got to respect Black Americans. So, yeah, you're dealing with a new group, and this Juneteenth celebration didn't cut the check. I want a Juneteenth celebration right after you cut the reparations check. That's what I want to see. So the symbolism isn't going to work. And one of the things I saw that, like I said, we're going back to the use of gospel. The use of gospel at this event is a known tool used by slave owners. Slave owners realized that slaves, our ancestors, were religious people, and they used religion to convince them that God wanted them enslaved and as a calming apparatus. Exactly. This is the point that I'm saying to you. This use of gospel to calm the slave descendants, well, it's not working anymore. We still want our reparations. That drum beat ain't going nowhere. It's getting louder and louder and louder every day. And that gospel, it ain't working to calm us down no more. It's a nice song. But right after they finished singing the song, I wanted my goddamn reparations. Because America ain't sorry. And we're going to get into that. Okay. So next up, we're going to talk about some of the other things that I noticed at this event. They had a speaker there discussing some type of actor. I didn't get his name. I think he was in some type of Candyman movie. I forget the gentleman's name. The actor stated that he was speaking at the event, and he's not even, first of all, he's an actor. He's not a black leader, but he has a nice voice. But he works for Hollywood, and he's speaking at the event, and I'm wondering, why is he there? He's not a black advocate. He's not a community activist. Why is he there? They should have had Yvette Carnell there. Yvette Carnell would have been a better speaker than Philip Scott. Philip Scott would have been a better speaker at this event. Red Supreme would have been a better speaker at this event. Shout out to those individuals. Okay, so he asked us, he stated, we that should be grateful for freedom. Grateful for freedom? Are you serious? In this day and age, we all know, this day and age, 2023, the whole world knows that slavery is wrong. America, of course, never paid reparations. But nonetheless, everyone knows slavery is wrong. So why do we need to be grateful for freedom? You can't say that to a bunch of people that you never treated as an equal citizen. So, this of course leads into my question or my statement when I say, what about our so called citizenship? You want me to be grateful for freedom. That speech was missing the word citizenship, Black people. Black Americans, descendants of slaves, are supposed to be citizens of America. But every time they speak to us and they refer to us, they just tell us, they remind us of our slavery, and they never really acknowledge our citizenship, which leads to, of course, everything that's going on with this illegal immigration today. What about our citizenship? Be grateful for our freedom. Our grandparents fought for freedom and citizenship of the United States. They didn't just want to be free, run around with no rights. Citizenship was a part of the deal. But I noticed that they always seem to leave that part out. Our citizenship was promised. It was promised by the 13th Amendment. And to this day, we are still fighting to fulfill that promise, to get America to fulfill the promise they made to us. They didn't just free the slaves, they made them American citizens, as evidenced by the 13th Amendment. Something that the rest of these people that's running up in America claiming birthright citizenship don't have. They don't have an amendment behind their name. Okay? So then the president of the United States, President Biden, comes on, and then he starts bragging about anti-lynching bill. An anti-lynching bill, uh, which isn't specific for Black Americans, once again is highlighting the fact that there is an anti-lynching bill but no hate crime bill. Now, somebody please make sense of that. Someone please make sense of having an anti-lynching bill without a hate crime bill for Black Americans. Because it appears to me that America, all right, as evidenced by President Biden's statement, is aware that Black Americans were being lynched. But America also decided, they took the initiative not to create and sign a hate crime bill, but they got a hate crime bill for Asians. See, this is display the racism that this country has towards specifically descendants of American slaves and specifically towards the foundational Black Americans is on display every single day. We've been in this country longer than any Asian. America even signed an anti-lynching bill because you only lynch Black Americans. We were the only ones being lynched as citizens of the United States. But yet, Asians shows up a few decades ago, maybe 40 years ago, 50 years ago, and they already got a hate crime bill. We've been here for 500 years. 10 times the amount of years the Asians been here. So we get an anti-lynching bill that does not specifically say Black Americans. And the Asians get a Pacific Asian hate crime bill. Everything that this country is doing is intentional. And it is hateful because it displays the fact that America does not view Black Americans, descendants of slaves, as citizens. That is why we don't get none of the bills and reparations as other citizens. Everyone else is called an American. Everyone else is getting Pacific legislation for them. Pacifically, the Native Americans got reparations. The Native Americans got bills and policies specifically that says Native American on it. The Asians got bills that says specifically Asians on it. The only one that do not get anything specific for them is us, the descendants of American slaves. Because America do not see us as citizens, as people, as humans. That's what I'm getting. America is not seeing us as a human being. All right? So that is why we getting treated so despairingly compared to other so-called American groups. All right? So that's the thing with this whole President Biden. That was very offensive. Of course, President Biden talking about anti-lynching bill, but he don't have he signed an Asian hate crime bill this year. This previous year, he signed an Asian hate crime bill, but nothing for Black Americans. Yep, Black people. I hope you guys are paying attention. I hope you guys are paying attention and taking note, because here we go again. All right. And let me discuss real quick the Civil Rights Act legislation that came from that. Those policies are not specifically for Black Americans neither. That's a bunch of policies. Affirmative action, we discussed in the yesterday's show, is not specifically for Black Americans. It says, the law says it's for minorities and women. And who's in the minority? Asian people are in the minority, Hispanic people in the minority, Native American people, and every other group. And at the bottom is Black Americans, descendants of slaves, the people that actually endured, the Black Americans endured the discrimination, endured the Jim Crow, and endured the lynching. But everyone else is considered a minority and receiving benefits. That's another racist policy, because it failed to address or give the Black Americans redress. And that is why we are, again, fighting for our reparations. This country has never sought redress with the Black Americans concerning slavery, civil rights violations, and today we're dealing with illegal immigration that's crushing us, the Black communities, economically and politically. So this offensive concert, which I believe no Black American descendant of slavery actually was involved in, this doesn't make sense. Who organized this event is beyond me, because this event was insulting. They had like slave owners, they use their music and dance, in this celebration, and also historically they use music and dance every Sunday to subdue the slaves. All right. And like I said, it worked then, but and unfortunately, it still works today for a lot of Black folks. But there's a growing number of people, Black Americans like me, that it just doesn't work. The singing and the dancing and the jiving, it does not work. Okay. All right. So what else we want to talk about? Let's talk about, it's so much here. Watching this Juneteenth event, this Juneteenth celebration at the White House was just disappointing and very insulting, infuriating, quite frankly. All right, then they have the Kamala Harris up there. I don't know why she's there. She's not a descendant of American slaves. Even though she's allegedly a vice president, Kamala Harris doesn't benefit descendants of American slaves. Her position, and that's another insulting thing that they try to pull over our heads as if we don't know who we are. Joe Biden, he marches out with Kamala Harris and tells Black Americans that, oh, I got a Black woman as a vice president. No, you do not. You do not have a Black American descendant of slave as a vice president. That's Kamala Harris' appointment is not a benefit to Black Americans, descendants of slaves. It's a benefit to the immigrants that you equate every day to the Black citizens, the illegal immigrants. Because as I recall, Kamala Harris' parents were not American citizens at the time of her birth. So technically, how the hell is she entitled? The key word is entitled. How is Kamala Harris entitled to citizenship? And who the hell is Joe Biden think he fooling? Because he sure enough ain't fooling TJ. He's not fooling this audience. Who is he fooling? You have this Indian woman up there claiming to be American. She was raised in another country practically her whole life. Okay? The state of California gave her a birth certificate, but the federal government never made her no citizen. Because her mother never applied, neither did her daddy. Neither one of them was American citizens. They were college students here. And they played this country because this country don't check no paperwork. Okay? You don't check what the hospitals are handing out. Okay? The state governors don't even record the fact that their parents are non-citizens. They act like the parents are citizens. Everybody having birth in a hospital is not an American citizen. But the hospital is not documenting that. The governors are not documenting that. And that's all done on purpose. All of that is done on purpose. The omittance of documenting the fact that their parents were not U.S. citizens. If you look at Kamala Harris' birth certificate, it will not document the fact that her parents were not American citizens. In fact, Kamala Harris' mother wrote down she was white. And then took the baby, ran to Canada, Kamala Harris' mother is a citizen of Canada, and her father's Jamaican. The mother took the baby and her to Canada, and she didn't even put her baby down as a Canadian citizen. She holding on to the American birth certificate. So one day her daughter could come back to our country and tell us what the hell to do. And then we wondering why our borders are open and why nobody respect us. How can you get respect, America, when you don't respect yourself? Stand up for yourself. Protect your borders. Protect your citizenship. America doesn't protect their citizenship. This is the only country that do not protect its own citizenship. You can't do this shit in these other countries. You can't do this shit in India. You can't do this shit in Jamaica. You damn sure can't do it in China. They don't give a damn if you have a baby in a hospital. They're going to give you a bill and tell you to have a nice day. And they let you know, these other countries let you know, your baby ain't our citizen. And we are not responsible for your baby. But what America do is every day this country equates illegal immigrants to Black Americans, extending them birthright citizenship and affirmative action. And all of this is done without their parents being a citizen. There's no they tell Black people, after all of them years of slavery, after we fought for the 13th Amendment to get our citizenship, now it's regardless of citizenship every damn where. Regardless of citizenship. That is a racist statement, Black people.